Hi, Sidnichka.
Hi, Alyonshka.
Could you please tell a few words like where you come from and yeah, a bit about yourself to my listeners?
Sure. So I'm from the US. I'm 28. I got married to my husband almost 5 years ago. We now live in Cambodia. We've been here for almost 2 years. But before that, we lived in China for less than a year and a half. Um, right. So we actually both come from all over the US, but I'm mainly from the South. And I've been teaching English on and off, but more on lately for about 4 years. But I'm also a proofreader, editor, and writer.
Also, isn't it amazing? Could you please tell a few words like about uh, an American girl relocating to Cambodia? How was
Well, we
that?
can talk about Cambodia in a minute. So let me start with China. So before this, I had been to China twice. Once for a school trip, so that's like where you go to Beijing and you see the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, all the things that you do. And then you hit the other major cities, Xi'an and Shanghai, and you see all of those things. And that was about 2 weeks. Um, and then in college, I got the opportunity to study there for a summer. So I went to South Central China, Sichuan province, which is actually known for its spicy food. And both of those were great, wonderful, amazing experiences. But I was a student. So when you go there as a professional person, there are many, many, many roadblocks, hurdles, hardships, because it's difficult to get a work visa there. For example, the only reason my husband was allowed in the country legally is because he was married to me. He had a spouse visa. He couldn't get a work visa. He couldn't get a work permit because he doesn't have a college degree. So that was challenging. We only made it in China for about 15 months. We decided that the job was too restrictive. I actually hated it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiled little 4-year-olds, there's only so many that a person can take. And if you're already not a kid person, then that's just what happens. It's burnout, and you got to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So Cambodia comes in because I had spent a month here after I graduated college. So I met my husband, actually, and then we had a long distance relationship. He was in Nepal and I was in Cambodia.
Oh my
And
god.
then later that year was when we got engaged, and then the next year we got married. We really knew what we wanted. So
Oh.
so I had been here before. So then I came up with a plan. I said, I hate my job in China so much. I'm just being really honest. That 6 months through the contract, which lasts a year, I was like, I have to do something at this halfway point or I'm not going to make it. So we decided to take a trip to Cambodia, specifically Siem Reap, which is not the capital, but it's the main place that everyone goes to because that's where Angkor Wat is, which is
Mm-hmm.
the largest religious site in the world. It's a UNESCO heritage site, and it's one of the modern wonders of the world, I guess. It's like colloquially, it's not
Mm-hmm.
officially recognized as that, but that's why people come here. I had come here because I was living in a village in the middle of nowhere, and this was the closest city. So when we needed groceries, we would come here, or we needed like air condition, we would hang out here. So I took my husband there. We were both charmed, which is what happens when you go on vacation somewhere. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew better. Like, I knew to look for all the things you need to look for when you move to a place. And we were like, all right, cool. So the next 6 months here is done. We're getting out and we're going to Cambodia. So, comparatively speaking, Cambodian customs was paying 300 US dollars each, getting a visa where you have 30 days to declare it as like a work visa or a long-term visa or whatever, but you just get 30 days automatically. And then, or maybe it was 90 days. And I just brought my cat here. No customs, no nothing. They didn't. I could have had a boa constrictor in that box and they wouldn't have checked. And compared to the customs in China, it was incredible. I was like, look, we're here. We're already here. We're out of the airport. We have all our luggage. We have the cat. Now what do we do? Oh my goodness. And it was just, the freedom was amazing. And then COVID happened the next week. So that's a different story.
For another episode of our podcast about COVID in different
Yeah.
countries.
That's a different time to
Yeah.
talk about that. I'm
Wow.
not joking. I moved to Cambodia, and 5 days later was the COVID announcement. January
Wow.
10th, and then January 15th.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry. So you basically did not like have an opportunity to live in Cambodia COVID free for the full?
It's very interesting. So 2020 in Cambodia was in Siem Reap, I should say, but most of Cambodia was very different from the rest of the world. We were able to stay safe, be normal. I mean, of course, there was no vaccine that early, but there were protocols in place that people were following. And then, of course, because of corruption and bribery, people from infected countries who didn't have to test because they bribed brought it here, and that's when everything happened. So I think we were good until about October, November of last year, and then this year has just been a firestorm. We've been on so many lockdowns. There's been an alcohol ban since May, which the city runs on alcohol. So anyway, we're all kind of just ignoring that rule. We just got off of lockdown 3 days ago, 2 weeks. We couldn't leave because they were confiscating our motorbikes if we tried to leave.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Hard times.
basically the rules have been relaxed, but 2021 is the hard year for us. I felt like we kind of escaped all the COVID drama in 2020 that everyone else was dealing with, and then this year is the year that it caught up with us, I would say.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Let's switch it to probably a bit more positive note.
Yeah, did that happen? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it actually struck us all, so yeah. We are now in a yellow zone, so yeah, we're kind of having a lot of people infected now, so yeah. Anyway, life is going on. We are all safe and sound. Everything's okay. Yeah, with my family, and yeah, I hope with yours as well. So, the topic of today's talk, what I wanted to bring up, just because you're my best friend, and these are the questions that are actually tabooed to ask Americans. I just wanted.
Oh, so I'm special.
You are always. Come on. Stop that. I
Can you
just.
please stop scratching my rug? Thank you. My cat is very active.
My dog is very passive, I would say.
Your dog's a cat.
Yes. Yes. It's yeah, not like technically, but practically, yeah, he is. So,
Oh yeah.
there are 5 questions I have for you to answer, and I am hoping for the honesty, and
Can
yeah,
I curse?
of course you can.
Oh great. Ooh.
Oh,
this is
fuck.
Okay. Yeah.
course you
fuck
can.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah. So the first thing is like that. So before asking you a question, I need to tell a little bit, a short story. So back to Soviet Union. If you didn't know, guys, I'm coming from 90s, from Ukraine, where it was Soviet Union. Anyway, I was born in Germany, but anyway, my dad is German. He relocated with my mom to Ukraine, and this is the place they've been living happily together since then. So, back in the USSR, the perception and let's say the opinions of Americans was awful, honestly, because we were raised hearing jokes like, oh, all Americans are stupid, or they can't answer like simple questions and stuff like that. Their humor is silly, their jokes are silly. Why do you think it was there? It actually was there. Why there is? I actually Googled it, whether this stereotype still exists. And some people say that yes, even Americans, they say yes. Some people do believe that Americans are stupid. Why?
Oh, okay, let's back up. So it's going to take, honestly, the short answer is the USSR has so much propaganda when it was founded all the way up until even after the dissolution of it. There are posters of y'all shooting missiles at us.
Agree. Agree.
And so propaganda is a powerful tool, and every country uses it. Let me give you an example. Of course, you know that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and that is why the U.S. got involved in World War II. I went to a world-renowned World War II museum in New Orleans, Louisiana, and the propaganda is what I still remember to this day. It was 10 years ago on both sides. Japanese horrible propaganda of these big-nosed, red-faced idiot Americans getting blown up, and then on the other side, U.S. propaganda of like these buck-toothed, squinty things like representing the Japanese with yellow skin, and they're blowing each other up. And what I'm saying is, you want to be unaffected by propaganda because it's the media trying to control you. Nobody wants to say, yes, I want to be brainwashed. But you really can't help it when you're surrounded by it, especially in USSR, North Korea is a huge example. They can't get away from it. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm trying to make is it affects everyone, even if you want it to or not, or if you think it does or not. So that stereotype, okay, let's go back to now. The stereotype of you said even some Americans think this. And I'm one of them. I will laugh at us. Do you know why? It's because the stupidest people are the loudest.
Oh,
Therefore, they're the ones who are on social media. They're the ones saying fake news. They're the ones causing all these issues. And those of us who are actually educated and halfway know something are not the ones who are speaking up, typically. Mm-hmm. Because we have more sense than that. But the loud voices are the ones that echo.
Yeah.
And the problem is that we don't want to combat that because for us it's not worth our time. And I'm speaking for all Americans here. I can't speak for 363 million people.
Sure.
But I'm just telling you why I think that persists.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, here's a big example. Americans are stupid. Americans are this or that. One reason, I got two reasons besides the ones I already said. Number one, propaganda. So I've got three. Number two, Hollywood. For the past 100 years, Hollywood has been the exporter of American, quote, quote, American ideas, ideals, our ideals of beauty, of what should be, of humor, who these people are and what you should think about them. That has been exported for the past 100 years all over the world, and that's the view that people have of us. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. That's what people see.
Yeah.
So, propaganda, Hollywood. The other thing is most Americans, let me back up. Most white Americans speak one language. That is not normal. Everyone in the world, mostly, even in China, where Mandarin is the state language, they speak another language, like within their province. that's specific to the area. So almost everyone speaks at least two languages, except Americans, white Americans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what? I was actually also thinking, like, why and how and who could actually bring this stereotype to life? Yes, I do agree it's propaganda. Come on. We've been propagated, I mean, we've been set against each other for decades, for, I don't know, centuries, right? And
Pretty
like
much, yeah.
different people against, yeah, different. But there is another thing, all this kind of propaganda in my understanding is also, yes, you are right, supported by movies, where even these silly jokes told by Americans are accepted as normal, and we are like, aha, Americans are joking in such a silly way. Oh, probably they are just silly. Oh, probably they are stupid. Oh, stupid Americans.
It just kind of sinks in
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah.
Like, I can relate it now to, I love K-drama. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
out of Korea, movies, shows, I love it. I have for the past 10 years. But that's not the way real people act. And plus,
Yeah.
most of those dramas are set in Seoul, the biggest city. But I'm like, most people don't live in Seoul. Half the people do, but the other half live in like regular small towns. So, it's kind of like reverse. I can see what people think about Americans because of TV and because of movies, because of the opinions I'm forming
Mm-hmm.
about what life is like in Korea. And I'm like, these Sydney back up. Like, these are
Mm-hmm.
like rich, wealthy characters who live in the biggest city in the country. This is not how it's like for everyone.
Right. So yeah, yeah. Before actually saying that, or before making those stereotypes, yeah, you go and research. You go and talk to people from
Anybody
that
who
country.
wants to believe in stereotypes can, but once you're aware that they exist, right, go out and do your own research and make up your own mind.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. The next question, not to make it really long, it was actually closely connected to me because it was the first time of me traveling to the US when I was a student, and it was work and travel program back in 2013. And when we were actually, when we arrived to the house we were living in, and we were met by our landlord slash employer, if I'm not mistaken. It was long ago, I don't remember. So that lady, so my friend who I came with started talking about something random with her, and it ended up talking about politics. I don't know how it turned. I just listen. There was I think 2013. It's the time when Obama was the president. Am I right? And
You're correct.
yeah, it seems like it was the election time or something. I don't
He
remember.
had been reelected, so this was the first year of his second term.
Yeah. So, and my friend ended up asking, I was just a witness of this conversation. My friend ended up asking, like, who you voted for.
No,
And
no.
the answer like, not me, but she received was, the very happy face changed into a very very angry grimace, and she was like, grimace, is that the word I want to use? No, like very like
No, it's definitely, I think it's the word you want.
yeah. So, and she was like, it's not your business. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, what? That was rude. And I was like, what did you ask? Like, what happened? My question, is it a taboo topic to ask
Yes. I
Americans
just
about.
asked you right now, just answer you right now. Yes. Okay, so this is not information that you ask, it's information that is volunteered. I have no idea. Well, okay, let's just back up. Pre Cheeto Man, aka Trump, can we just back up from that? Because that has just put everything out in the open. So let's just stop at Obama, like Obama's first election and then re election. Because politics was still sort of normal at that time ish. Not really, but It's information that you volunteer. You never ask an American who they voted for unless, like, you could ask me. Like, we are best friends. You could ask me, and you know me, and you know that I would tell you. I did not vote in this past election because our system is so antiquated that I would have to mail a piece of paper back and forth across the ocean. And first of all, I couldn't afford that. And secondly, yeah, US of A, baby. No automation or vote by proxy there. So I'm actually kind of surprised that your landlord/employer answered her in that way, because she knows that you guys are not Americans and she just met you 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. That's actually really astonishing to me that she was that rude to you and shut you down. But that is the typical response. Now, let me back up. Mm-hmm. For like Gen Z, who we're millennials, but for Gen Z and a lot of millennials, I think it's more of a discussion and an open topic. I'm guessing that the person that you talked to was either Gen X, like our parents' generation, or baby boomer.
At the time, she was about like 60 or 50-ish. 50. Yeah, I guess in her mid-50s or 60s.
That is definitely taboo.
Yeah.
And the next question is obviously why. Well, one reason is that politics is just such a heated and divisive topic in the U.S. It can be elsewhere as well, but for some reason, ever since we established two main parties, because there have always been fringe parties, but for a long time, the past 160-ish years, there have been Republican and Democrat, and they've actually switched the way that they are. Now Republicans are conservative and Democrats are liberal, but it used to be the other way. For example, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, technically, but he would have voted Democrat these days. The point is, it's something that people get very impassioned about because they refuse to see the other side. And the only way to have an intelligent conversation about it is if you kind of know the person you're talking to and you know that their reaction is going to be normal and rational.
Oh, yeah. But it's so opposite right here. It's just a completely opposite picture. Opposite. Like, you can ask how much you earn. You can ask who you voted for. And yes, you may get answers even from the person you met just 5 minutes ago.
And that's how it is in Asia. I mean,
it's actually a topic of
in Asia.
Absolutely, it's a topic for small talk.
Yes, it's small talk. Hello, how much is your rent? And I don't have any problem telling them that because it's an honest question, and I've lived in Asia for 3 years, and it's really normal. So now I understand that, but before, so as Americans, I think that probably leads into your next question. I don't want to go there unless you have that.
Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm not sure if we're talking about the same matter that it's going to be happening. This is the question we've discussed with you during our live stream. So a lot of people, again, it's like a stereotype or probably something that we know about Americans, a very typical thing about Americans. When you come to the US, Americans smile to you. Smile at you.
Apparently, I learned that is very strange for former Soviet.
It's really strange for, I would say, a huge piece of Europe. Because Europeans, actually, German, don't smile at you. Like, no.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, like, if I were in London, people would also think I was, like an escaped asylum resident or something, I think, if I did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here as well. So, is American smile fake or real?
Okay, there is a nuanced answer to this. Americans will do anything they can to not feel uncomfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. So for some people, avoiding small talk makes them comfortable. For some people, making small talk makes them comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just depends. But I think we can all agree that if you make eye contact with another American, if you're or a person, doesn't matter, we don't know where you're from, walking down the street, if you make eye contact, it's our natural response to smile. Why is this? We're not taught to do that. And you'll find in a lot of like New England cities and places, people don't do that. I think New York City is a great example. It's not like anywhere else in America. Everyone is going 100 miles an hour. They just want to get where they're going. There's no time to stop and do anything. The fastest way to get anywhere is to walk,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much traffic and nobody has time to smile at everyone you look at. So I think it's genuine in that when we look at you, we smile, the other person smiles. It's very normal, and it's so normal that when you asked me the first time, I was like, oh, we do that, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And other people don't really do that.
Mm-mm.
It's so normal to me that I didn't even think of it as a question. So I think it's like genuine in the sense that we want the other person, we both want to be comfortable, because a blank stare makes us uncomfortable. Because to us, it's kind of like a glare.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so in that sense, it's genuine. But then it wouldn't be genuine in the sense that I smiled at you, let's have a conversation and coffee and be friends with everyone we smile at. No, of course not. We don't want that. We just want you and me to not feel uncomfortable.
Cool.
Which I really want to talk about this. It brings me to the thing. You said politics are taboo, and we brought up how it's normal to just talk about your salary, talk about this, how much does this cost, how much was your car, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
One reason that is extremely taboo in the U.S. is because your employers don't want the employees to gang up and rise up against the employer and demand more money. So basically, it's a monopoly capitalist holdover, where they really don't want you to know how much the other person's making, even if they're doing the same job. And that's one way, like most of my minimum wage job employment contracts say, don't discuss your salary, or like I agree not to discuss my wages with my coworkers. And that is unheard of in other places. Like you mentioned, you talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Americans are very uncomfortable talking about money, like talking about debt or bills or salary or anything. And I think that's another thing, like politics. It's heated, and it keeps classes divided, and it keeps people from questioning, like, okay, well, how much money should we be making?
Yeah.
Are they making too much money? It's all about this. It goes back to this debate now. Restaurants can't find people who want to work there in the U.S. right now. That's because they realize they don't have to be working so hard for so little money, finally. COVID was a way for them to step out of their shitty jobs and try to get something better. And I'm sorry, if you don't want to pay, then we don't have to work. Deuces.
Fair.
And I'm happy. I'm
Fair
happy
enough.
for them.
Yep, fair enough.
So that kind of goes back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm done with that. I just wanted to cover another taboo topic that people don't talk about.
This actually smiling thing leads me to the question that actually a lot of people who have never been to the US or who have never, I don't know, spoken to Americans, the question, no, not like the typical phrase that we hear in the US specifically, hi, how are ya? Is it something we have to answer or not?
Sometimes people don't. I've noticed that they don't. Hi, how are ya is like, what you said sounds like someone from the Midwest, which is where you were. I know that's where you did your workaway thing. Hi, how are ya? That's so great. I love it. So my typical thing is, hey, how are you? Or hey, how you doing? And I actually expect a response. I think it depends on, I honestly think it depends on whether you like small talk or not, because the typical response is, I'm fine, what about you? Yeah, I'm great. And it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Even if my leg just got blown off, I would say, I'm fine, blah, blah. And I hate that. I don't like that. So if somebody asks me how I am and I'm not fine, I'll be like, I could be better, but it's okay. So how are you doing? And I actually want to talk to them about that. But that's me, okay? Typically, you answer in the positive, and then you...
Sorry, my dog sneezes.
Did your dog sneeze?
Yeah, twice. Just look at what he's doing there. Just look at him. Do you see it?
We have the same animal. It's my cat. I promise. They just like to roll. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's definitely a cat.
Now he's licking his
now he's
dick.
Himself like a cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think I heard that part.
Yeah, you did. You weirdo.
Yeah, so...
Let's get back to the topic.
I think that's in most languages. It's like, I mean, we're talking about America specifically, but like even in Spanish, it's like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And then I'm fine, and how are you? And it's great, and moving on. So usually, okay, what if it's people I know fairly well, not my best friend, but like a good friend, and I would say, they said, hi, how are you? I'd be like, hey, how are you? And then we'll just talk. Like, we don't answer each other's question. We just do the same. We just ask the same question and don't answer it. And
what if it's a stranger?
Like maybe a barista
Yep.
that you're ordering coffee from. Yeah, I would answer the question. They would say, hello, how are you? And I'm like, I'm great. How are you doing? And then they'll say, I'm fine. What would you like today?
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to lead into talking about something else.
Got it.
Which is why, okay, if you've ever worked in a drive-thru, you say, hey, welcome to... I don't want to use, like, actual names, but I guess I can. I worked at Starbucks. So, hey, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get for you? Welcome to Starbucks is the lead-in to the question, not... What's up? What do you want? That's a little weird. Like, you gotta say something
what do you
before
want?
that.
I'm just curious because...
what do you want?
What up? So...
Believe me, I've been tempted.
Ooh. I'm just curious, like, a lot of non-natives teach non-native English speakers who are teachers of English. They teach that, like, if you travel to the US, hi, how are ya? This is the phrase that you just have to ignore and say hi, how are ya instead. So it's like basically hello. So hi, how are ya is hello.
I really think that that's regional, especially the way that you keep saying it. A Southerner would not say that and then respond in the same way and then move on. We would say, hey, how are you? I'm doing great. What about you? Mm-hmm. And then, oh, yeah, I'm good. So where are you going today? Like, if you bump into each other.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? I think that's very specifically regional to the Dakotas, Minnesota, probably Wisconsin. Yeah. Anybody from those places, please shout out and correct me if I'm wrong. I just think that it's like a regional thing.
Okay, got it. And I actually have the last question, but I think we've already discussed it. It sounds like a lot of Americans don't like to talk about how much money they make, but it is, though, a very normal and common question in other countries. Why? You fully disclosed it, but maybe you've got something, like why?
Right. So the thing is, we are just now asking ourselves why. Because of, platforms like Reddit and other places to discuss these things, people are finally asking, as a non-American, why is it so strange that Americans are weird about money or this and that? And then Americans themselves are questioning, why is it so bizarre? And our parents will tell us, like, if we bring up something about money, like, Oh, how much? He's a doctor. How much does he make? Oh, we don't talk about that. They'll
Mm-hmm.
tell us not to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know I think I know how much my father makes as a public school teacher. I still don't know how much my mother makes a year. She won't really tell me.
Even
She's a
inside
pharmacist.
family, it is not discussed.
It's
Wow.
very strange. And maybe other families are different and maybe things are changing. But, like, I don't know how much my brother-in-law makes as a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should know because my tax money goes to his salary. So I probably should know. But I really can't pinpoint an answer as to why, but I do know an influence of it is because of,
Mm-hmm.
the minimum wage system and corporations holding control over these businesses that have minimum wage workers. They don't want them to ask questions,
Yeah.
and that's only part of it, Helen. Like, I can't answer why specifically,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a very strictly American phenomenon, and we'll have to get some Canadians to weigh in on this because I don't know where they stand on this.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
definitely talk to Sam about it.
yeah, I don't know if it's like a North American thing or if it's just the US that's so strange about money.
Ooh,
But it's weird, like, you don't ask like what your car payment is, or which is useful information if you're
of
looking to buy a
course.
car and you want to see how much you like this person's car and they had a good experience at the dealership. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. So we are kind of finishing up. I've run out of questions, and could you please tell me, maybe you can come up with something visitors, non-natives, people just tourists, random tourists and guests in the country should never ever discuss or ask an American, not to like spoil the relationship and impression.
Okay, top 5 things. Number 1, especially now, don't bring politics up. If the American does and it starts making you uncomfortable, just say, I'd rather not talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to discuss it, go for it. But don't bring it up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say religion is another thing. Normally, so religion is a weird thing in the US because we have connected it so much to our government, even though that was never part of the Constitution and that was never part of the original idea. And so
Mm-hmm.
you might want to steer clear with that unless you pick up some phrases that people say, or you can ask. A lot of people will be happy to answer, like if you say, so what do you believe in, like, are you spiritual in any way?
Mm-hmm.
That's a polite way to ask, but don't just
Do you believe
bludgeon
in
through it,
God?
I guess. So yeah, so those are 2 things, and then the third thing is just leave money alone, leave it alone, unless someone like younger who is getting wise to the system. I sound like some sort of like I don't know what I sound like. I'm using all these buzzwords, but if a person brings it up, go for it. Don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about it yourself. Don't bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
I have another 2 very, very, very important things.
Okay.
Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? If you're interested in dating them, that's cool. You can say that. Like, but it goes along with this one. This is also part of number 4. When are you getting married? Please stop asking people that. You're so tired of hearing that. When are you getting married? And number 5 is, when are you having children?
I would say it's a very universal taboo for many countries.
I think it is for our generation, but before our generation, people just won't leave it alone. And I
Yes.
think it's disappearing, but people will, like, please don't ask
But
that
people will
question.
still do like,
Like,
ah,
look at the watch, look at
and
oh,
right? And it's like
yeah, so
time.
when
So
are you
you're
gonna
like,
give me grandkids?
yeah, it would be so awesome. Like you're 28, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And obviously don't do this thing. that idiots all over the world do. I have been asked if I'm pregnant probably like 6 times in the past 4 years. Please don't assume people are pregnant. It happened the first time with an American. We actually had a pretty decent relationship. I would
Really?
bring her coffee and she pierced my ears, like at the ear piercing place. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like under the table. It was like in
Mm-hmm.
a thing, in a store, because we both worked at the mall. And she just stared at my stomach one day and just kept looking at it, like pointing with her eyes and then raising her eyebrows, like kind of trying to ask me a question with her face without asking me.
No,
And
she
she
did
said,
not.
so, like you said. And I said, so what? And she goes, so, is there a baby in there? A grown ass woman
Oh
with a kid
no.
herself asked me if I had a baby in there. And at this point, I was
What
only
did you
about
say? I'm just curious. What was your answer?
maybe, I'm sorry.
What was your answer?
My answer
This?
was,
Middle
no,
finger?
there's not a baby in there. I said, I'm just fat. And she goes, well, you carry it well. And I said, obviously not if you thought I was pregnant. And I met for lunch with my friend right after that. And when I told her that story,
What the fuck?
we went shopping at that store right after that. And she wanted to go there just to like tell off that girl. And I can't remember if she did or not. It's been too long ago, but and at
Wow.
that point, I wasn't even super fat. I was only like 7 kg overweight at that point. Now I'm like really overweight, but like at that point, I was just like, who does that? Who stares and asks and says, so is there a baby in there?
A very, very impolite, unethical person from the cave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, in what? Because when that kind of thing happens to you, you are caught so off guard. I'm surprised I even had a response for her.
Oh yeah.
Because when it happened in China, I would just be like, either I would lie and say that it's next month or 2 months from now, or I would say I'm not pregnant, like in the worst way, and try to make them feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't happened to me here, strangely. Maybe they're used to seeing like fat tourists. I don't know. But
Wow.
yeah, because Khmer people will say whatever they think,
Mm-hmm.
like that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, the only person who's told me to lose weight here is the doctor, and he's right. So
So it's only one person who has the right to say that. Only in case it is
yeah,
related to your health. Like, hey,
yes.
you kind of
Because
need
my
to
blood
review your
pressure
diet.
was slightly higher than it should be for someone my height and age. So yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's the only person
Yeah, so
allowed.
5 things: politics, religion, money, and like marriage and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, if that stuff comes up naturally, that's cool. Like, are you married? Like, what's your family like? How many siblings do you have? That's fine, but not like, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? Are you pregnant? Like, leave that alone.
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing, like, you know, when you were saying about these five top things, I was just thinking, what if you asked me what not to ask a Ukrainian person? And I'm
Ooh,
like,
tell me.
so
Wait, there's
okay,
nothing? There's gotta
probably
be.
probably it's not actually the politics, um it's more about something related to Russia. Uh
Uh-huh. That was
Number
my first
1.
thought.
Number 2, I think it's whether we drink every day and eat sala for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Basically, which is actually related to, yeah, to stereotypes about Ukrainian.
Right.
And 3, I've got no idea whether, like, which language do you speak? Probably these are 3 things that will somehow annoy locals, but again, seems like we are not bothered at all. Like, even these topics can be like turned into something funny and really okay-ish. But if you
Yeah,
meet
like there's nothing that's just off limits.
exactly, seems like we can talk about anything and everything. But if you meet a very, very nationalistically patriotic person, it will be definitely not the topic for a small talk. Yeah.
Oh, no, no, no. No.
Because,
Unless maybe you're equally as politically charged and maybe you want to have that conversation. I don't know. But yeah, for a regular interaction, I would say leave that alone.
but I have a really nice advice what to say and what to start from. A small talk in Ukraine starts with a complaint. What
Oh
an
my
awful weather today is, right? Or, oh my goodness, the prices have risen so quickly and greatly, right? You will definitely find the person who will keep talking about it with you.
So what does that say? If you think we're crazy for smiling at you and it starts with a complaint.
We are like so different, guys.
Yes. What would I complain about? Let me think. I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I think I would just complain about how cold it is probably or something. I don't know. I actually, at this point, I can't imagine myself complaining about cold weather. I would welcome it. Yeah.
Yep.
Hot and very hot, like I said.
Come on, we are soaked with complaints. We're like our mentality is about listen, one of my I think I told you like my professor of Ukrainian literature, she's actually she's gay, and it was really hard for her to work at university, but still she was like having lectures, and one thing she told me that I still remember, and I think I will tell my kids or my grandkids, everyone, that Ukrainians are masochists because seems like we are happier when things are getting worse. Because a typical small talk between two middle-aged women in Ukraine sounds like, the bills came and they're so high, I can't. And the other one, and you know what? And my pipes actually, like they are crashed and broken. Can you imagine that? And the other one, oh my, and can you imagine what happened with me last night? I was robbed and blah, blah, blah. So basically, like, who gets worse? That's a small talk.
I think I have a few relatives that would do very well hanging out with Ukrainians.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe it has something to do with age, because like for me it's weird, for my sister it's weird, but for probably older people it's not. But still, we are being raised and we are living in society like that. So it's
we'll
impossible.
find out if it's age related in about 30 years.
Yeah, let's talk about it here in 30 years.
Yeah.
About the same.
Back here 30 years.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Right.
I was going to say this about I think it's hilarious that it's your Ukrainian literature teacher that said that, because there's this meme that's about like, I'll have to find the meme. It says French literature, die for love. And then it says English literature, die for country. American literature, die for freedom. And then it says like Eastern Bloc, die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
I can't agree more.
Yeah, just die.
Yeah. Yeah. Just die and describe. Yeah, Signichka, I don't want to make it really long. I'm out of questions, so I have to thank you for being with me for these past hours and answering all my things. It was amazing. I love you, and I am incredibly grateful for your sincere, honest answers to my sometimes tricky questions. But I can't ask anyone but you. Yeah, because
I'm very privileged for that. And yes, I'm very happy that I can help.
yay.
But again, I'm just one person. I don't know if I can answer for everyone. And most of my answers, of course, were generalities. I was speaking from my own experience. So that's the disclaimer that I need to add.
Yeah, we are speaking here, like all the things we say here are based on our own experience, situations from life. Yeah, we're not talking for everybody. Anyway, thank you very, 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 very much. And yeah, thanks guys for listening. That's the end of the podcast. Mwah!
Thank you guys so much.